It is 8 o'clock on the East Coast. It is 5 o'clock on the West Coast. It is the 11th of April in the year of our Lord 2024, season 14. Whoa, something's going on somewhere. All right, I'm going to mute Alex there. It is season 14, episode 24, 659 times. You have been welcomed to the Clubhouse Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things sports, entertainment, pop culture, pro wrestling. Welcome. My name is Rob. I am the executive producer of the Clubhouse Podcast. And boy, has it been a 7 days since last we all talked to each other. In some cases, literally. But you might be looking at your screen right now and you're going, Rob, is this the solo adventure again? It is not. I wouldn't do that to you people, and I wouldn't do it to me. But when I do this, chabooyah. Or if I do this, chabooyah. Where it's full strength. That way from me is my co-host and a man who has heard a lot of stories from me over the last 5 days. He is Alex. Hey, brother.
Might help to unmute the mic.
Yes. Yeah, there was some kind of a weird feedback. I had to mute you in the intro from my end.
Oh, no, it was the audio looping through a separate area than it should have been.
Oh, I should have DJ
it. Yeah, almost. But, you're not the only person who can shabooyah.
I know. That's why I let you do that, so I don't have to click all the things all the time.
Right.
At the bottom of your screen is the official fact checker of Sooner Gator Productions. And a man who watched a movie about spiders. You may know him as Igbunu, but his mama named him Don Ford, who was in town this week. So I call him Don Ford. Hey, man.
Wait, we're going to have to tease that, but there is an awesome review at www.clubhousepodcast.com.
That is our website.
This is riveting. We appear out of nowhere. This is like riveting.
Is that what the kids are calling it these days?
Yeah, just riveting. So
okay, so
hold on real fast. It was
please.
Good to see Mama. Mama Ford came down. Sorry,
and your sister was here too, wasn't she?
Yeah, they both came down for the I call it the ellipse, but the eclipse. But it was really cool. We went out to the Epic in Grand Prairie and where the big lake is, and they're developing, and there's a lot of people there, and it's kind of cool, but not too many people. And out by the lake, and all of a sudden it gets pitch black in the middle of the day. It's kind of cool. So they enjoyed it. So
yeah, Jen was home that day. I was off that day because I was taking my traditional day after an out-of-town show off. And I walked outside and I went, oh, look, there's a thing. And then it's a little chilly outside. And then I went back inside. But I did think it was cool watching the light go across my house afterwards. That was kind of cool.
And at least, in our area, we were worried about the weather, but we had a clear sky when we saw it. So we lucked out. That was really cool, so always
shout out to everybody that came out to Hill Country Comic-Con last weekend in New Braunfels, Texas. Had an absolutely great time. I'm going to have those panels. I got the video already, so I'll be posting the panels to my YouTube channel, at least one of them. The other one I've got to do some research on because there were some video clips played, and I don't know that YouTube's going to flag that. So we got to figure out how that's going to work. But I did have a great time talking to DJ Lance Rocks and Joshua Bally from Yo Gabba Gabba. Kind of weird. 2 days after the show, they announced that there's a new version of Yo Gabba Gabba hitting YouTube TV very soon. I'm sorry, Apple TV Plus very soon. But I did not know that the guys from Yo Gabba Gabba played Coachella. That was a weird bit for me. But DJ Lance Rock, an amazing human, had a blast with him at the after party. Josh came up and did Ice Ice Baby. It was a whole thing. And Sunday, I got to talk to Reb Brown, the original Captain America from the 70s. Had a great talk with him and a kind of a cool moment during that particular panel. Alex, you look like you had a question.
No.
Oh, okay.
The time has already passed.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I apologize for that. I can rewind.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
Moving on.
Last week we did flip the script a little bit, and we did wrestling first. We're going to do the normal order this week just because there's not a lot of entertainment stuff to talk about. But we will be spending the majority of tonight talking about our sport in the last 6 days because it's a new year in wrestling. Yes, it is. And we will talk all about it coming up here in just a little while. The men's and women's basketball tournaments ended this past weekend. Great ratings for the almost 19 million people watched that final. And I want to say thank you to Dawn Staley for being the portrait of class and grace in that post-game speech. I thought that was awesome. The men's, I did not come in last. I have the bronze medal of the loser's podium, but I did not come in last. However, Alex ran away with it this year. So congratulations to you, sir, on a well-predicted tournament bracket as UConn goes back-to-back.
It's the exact opposite of how it is normally for me. I usually crush the first 2 rounds and then everything falls apart. This year, worst first 2 rounds I've ever had from a bracket standpoint. Still enjoyed the games, but made the comeback.
And what do we know? It's not important how you start. It's important how you finish. And it's not whether you win or lose. It's whether I win or lose. And I lost. But great showing by Alex. UConn first repeat since Florida did it in the late aughts. A lot of people were comparing and contrasting this repeat with Florida's repeat with Duke's repeat. I think for one that stands out in this is in a one and done era where you can do it with almost completely different personnel. Purdue, I mean, they shut down Purdue in the 3. And if you can do that, you can beat Purdue. And UConn showed that. I mean, they let Edie score at will because 2 versus 3, do whatever you want because that kid's a beast anyway.
Yeah.
But 2 great games, 2 great tournaments, probably the most fun tournaments, in my opinion, especially on both sides of the fence, that we've had in a very, very long time. And I think the ratings showed that as well. And a great SNL cold open sketch because of Charles Barkley, who may or may not pay attention to the sport on a pregame. One of the stronger SNLs in a while with Kristen Wiig as well.
Quick question.
Sure.
So, like, South Carolina went undefeated.
They did.
Congratulations. Indeed. Cool deal. Awesome. And
wire to wire.
They beat the ratings in the final and all that. They're really, getting the attention they deserve, you could say. I heard of a couple times, in the women's where they've had undefeated seasons in the last. How come I don't ever hear that on the men?
Because it doesn't.
The men's typically don't happen. It doesn't happen on the men's side. The women's happens fairly regularly, but that's also because they are very top heavy when it comes to talent on the teams.
Okay.
So you have had it repeated with UConn, which under Gino Auriemma was always near the top. Staley has been absolutely amazing at South Carolina. You had the Pat Summitt years at Tennessee with the Lady Vols. So you had that kind of cycle going through where you would wind up, maybe they don't have, and this is another interesting topic that if we had more time to get into, where there has been talks of the women's game not having as much budgeted. So maybe they don't have the East Coast, West Coast, or the international trips that the men's do at the higher levels in a lot of circumstances. But that doesn't take away the fact that when they play, they win.
And Alex, keep me honest here. If I'm not mistaken, Florida was the last team where both sides won in the same year. Because I know UConn's done it, but I think Florida was the last one to do it.
I am not sure if that's accurate. I thought UConn had done it since, but I could be wrong in that scope.
I know UConn.
It is a rare feat, but yes,
dominance of that program for so long. But again, congratulations to both men's and women's tournaments put on very, very well this year, and shout out to Indiana State for showing why they should have been in the tournament this year as they ran through the NIT.
They actually lost in the finals, though.
But they had a good run up to it.
Yes, they did.
In my personal,
and pick your name for Mr. Avila. He is in the transfer portal, so we should see him in a bigger program soon.
All right, let's get to NBA standings as the regular season is winding down. Let's see. In the Eastern Conference Atlantic Division, the Toronto Raptors, I'm going to go ahead and say they're not going to make it in the playoffs because they're 37.5 games back. They are 7 games behind Brooklyn. Brooklyn is now 13 back on the Sixers. The Sixers 2.5 back on the Knicks. The Knicks have clinched a playoff spot, but they're still 15 games behind Boston, who's only lost 17 games all year. In the Central Division, the Detroit Pistons, former champs of basketball, they're not doing well. They are 24 games back on the Chicago Bulls. Chicago now 8.5 back on the Pacers. The Pacers are a game back on Cleveland. Cleveland's now 2 back on Milwaukee. Milwaukee now guaranteed into the playoffs. Nobody else at this point outside of Boston, New York, and Milwaukee have locked down a playoff spot. In the Southeast Division, the Wizards won't be because they're 31 games back. They're 5 back on Charlotte. The Hornets are now 16 games back on Atlanta. Atlanta 8 back on Miami. Miami, who just absolutely fell apart last night. Alex.
Going back to the men's and women's winning in the same year.
Yes, sir.
It has happened twice.
Okay.
Both times by UConn.
Okay, so Florida did not do it. I thought
they did not. No, UConn did it in 2004 and 2014.
Okay, thank you for that. And Miami now 2 back on Orlando. Orlando's lost 2 in a row. Atlanta's lost 4 in a row, but I don't think that matters. In the Western Conference Pacific Division, the Golden State Warriors, this division has been nothing short of insanity, because when you're in last place in the division and you're 9 games above 500 and you're 6.5 back, that's a strong division. They are a half game back on the Lakers. The Lakers now a half game back on Sacramento. Sacramento a game and a half back on Phoenix. Phoenix 4 back on the Clippers. The Clippers have clinched home court throughout. They clinched the division. I'm sorry. Nobody's gotten home court throughout yet. In the Southwest Division, San Antonio, they're done. They're 7 games back on Memphis. Memphis is now 12.5 back on Houston. The Rockets 8 back on New Orleans. Fly Pelican 2.5 back on Dallas. Dallas has clinched the division as well. In the Northwest Division, Portland's bad. They're 8 back on Utah. Utah is second to last in division. The top 3 teams in this division have all clinched a playoff spot, because Oklahoma City is 16.5 games up on Utah. They're tied with Minnesota. Both of them are a game back on Denver. By the way, Utah's dropped 13 straight for those of you playing the home game. Playoff picture. You can pretty much say this is how it's going to go at this point, because we've played 79 games. So there's only really 4 left, 3 or 4, depending on the team.
Yeah.
So right now, here's your Eastern Conference playoffs. Boston, Milwaukee, New York, all in. Above the red line, Indiana, Orlando, Cleveland. Inside the red zone, Atlanta, Chicago, Miami, Philadelphia. Outside of something catastrophic, I don't see movement, because the closest team to Atlanta is Brooklyn, and they're 4 games behind them. So I don't really see that happening.
That's one where you would need the perfect situation to occur, exactly. And there may not even be enough games.
But, we had an eclipse, so you don't know. In the Western Conference, above the red line, Denver, Minnesota, Oklahoma City, the Clippers, and Dallas have all clinched a spot. The only team above the red line that has not in the Western Conference is Fly Pelican, which is crazy when you realize they're 15 games above 500, which normally that's a pretty nice spot to sit in. However, Phoenix could catch them because they're only a game and a half between them. So in the red zone right now, Phoenix, Sacramento, the Lakers, and Golden State. That's pretty much set as well, because Houston is 5 games back on Golden State. And I don't see a situation. I mean, you drop 3, they win 3. It gets a little hairy. But I don't see that happening. Again, perfect storm. I just don't see it happening. Let's get to the NHL, gentlemen. In the Eastern Conference Atlantic Division, because because I screwed that up.
Now I want a New Orleans hockey team. I want the Ice Crawdads.
Not only did I screw that up, we're just going to go straight to the Montreal Canadiens. Thank you, Don.
Real fast though, if I can. Last undefeated men's season was Indiana in 75-76, 32-0.
Yep.
And then it was
It's a lot
San
tougher.
Francisco in 55, North Carolina 56. Then UCLA had 4 undefeated seasons, 63, 66, 71, 72. But it's in 75, 76. That's it.
Yeah. It's hard to do in the men's game.
There's a particular team in that list that I always go back to when you want to talk about greats.
John Wooden.
San Francisco. Have you ever heard them challenging for a national title otherwise?
I was very, very confused in the aughts when they would play on Fox Sportsnet because they are also USF and the logo was very similar back
And the
then.
color scheme as well.
Yep, you are correct.
But that 55 team was led by one Bill Russell, who
Nice.
just dominated the entire college game.
Big fan. So Montreal and Ottawa both tied at 72 points. They are 35 points out of first place. They're 7 back on Buffalo. The Sabres are 5 back on Detroit. Detroit now only 11 back on Tampa Bay. Now, their top 4 in the Atlantic Division have all locked down playoff spots, but nobody's got the division. Nobody's got home ice yet. So you've got Tampa Bay, who is now 6 points back on Toronto. Toronto, after winning three in a row, are 3 points back on the Panthers. The Panthers now 3 back on Boston with 4 to 5 games to play, depending on who you are. Don, where else are we going?
Metropolitan Division.
You are absolutely correct, sir. The Columbus Blue Jackets, they're not going to make it. They're only, 46 points out of first place. They are 5 points back on New Jersey. New Jersey now 4 back on Philadelphia, who's dropped 8 in a row. Philly's a point behind your Pittsburgh Penguins. Pittsburgh a point back on Washington. Washington 2 back on the Islanders. The Islanders are now 20 points behind Carolina. Carolina and the Rangers have locked down playoff spots, but Carolina's only 3 back on the Rangers, which is why the Rangers have not locked down the division yet. In the Western Conference Central Division, the Chicago Blackhawks, they're 58 points out. They are 22 points behind the Coyotes. That tells you anything. Arizona now 10 back on the Wild 6 back on the Blues. The Blues now 6 back on Nashville. Your top 4 teams in the Central Division. Nobody's locked down divisions or home ice in the entire sport at this point, which is crazy when you think about it. But your top 4 teams in the division have all locked down playoff spots. Nashville is at 95 points. 5 teams in this division have broken the century mark at this point. The only one that happens to add to it at this point is going to be Nashville, because I don't think at 93 points LA can get in. You've also got 5 in the Western Conference, Tampa Bay threatening to make it 6. Nashville is 7 points back on the Jets. The Jets are 2 back on Colorado. Colorado now 5 points back on the Stars. Winnipeg on a 4-game heater to keep them where they are. In the Pacific Division, boys, get ready, because we are going to be talking about the Sharks. They're 60 points out of first place. They are 12 back on the Ducks. Anaheim now 8 back on the Flames. Calgary 4 back on Seattle's 13 points back on Vegas. Vegas is a point back on the Kings. Now, the top 2 teams in this division have locked down a playoff spot, as Los Angeles is now 8 back on Edmonton. Edmonton is 4 back on Vancouver. By the way, Edmonton's won 3 in a row. Alex, do you have a question?
No, I do not. But
I thought I saw your...
I did have something occur to me. Have we looked up what the most number of NHL teams reaching the century mark in points yet?
I do not know. No.
Okay.
It's an interesting question.
I have not looked that up. Don, would you mind?
The most number of the century for what?
The season with the most teams having 100 points in the NHL.
Okay. All right.
So playoff picture right now in the Eastern Conference, here's what it looks like. Above the red line: Rangers, Carolina, Boston, Florida, Toronto, Tampa Bay, Islanders, Washington. The Caps are in it at 85 points. Now, Pittsburgh and Detroit and Philadelphia are all breathing down their neck, because Pittsburgh and Detroit are only a point behind them. Philadelphia is a point behind them. So it's going to be an interesting week in the Eastern Conference. And by the way, there's only 2 spots up for grabs in each conference currently. In the Western Conference, Dallas, Vancouver, Colorado, Winnipeg, Edmonton, Nashville, Kings, Vegas. So Vegas is above the red line right now. However, St. Louis only trails them by 3 points. So with 2 points for a win, for those of you unfamiliar with the way hockey does their points, 1 point for a tie, things could get squirrely here in the last 4 to 5 days. Gentlemen, are we ready for North America's favorite game show?
Yes,
It is time to play. One more time. And then we won't play it again for about a month because we're waiting on baseball to catch up.
Mm-hmm.
What is the goal differential and the point differential, more importantly, for the San Jose Sharks? Don.
I'm going to say negative 138.
138 for Don. Alex.
Ooh, that was actually one of the numbers I was thinking. I'm going to play the Price is Right version of this game and give myself some berth and hope he's over, because I don't want to be the guy that goes one on top of him. So I will do minus 100.
So let me give you some context. The worst goal differential in the Eastern Conference, period, end of statement, is the Columbus Blue Jackets. Their goal differential to pretty much finish the season is a minus 60. In the Western Conference, there are only 2 teams. Now, we know San Jose is one that's going to be in triple digits. If you watch this show, you know what it was last week. There is only one other team in all of hockey in triple digits, and it is the Chicago Blackhawks at minus 102. Closest to that is Anaheim at minus 89. Then it drops. Remember, Anaheim at minus 89. The closest team to that mark, Calgary at minus 20 in the Western Conference. The San Jose Sharks have played 78 games. They are 18-51-9. I'll let it sit.
Okay.
They are 11-24-5 at home. They are 7-27-4 on the road. They've lost 2 in a row. They're 2-6-2 in their last 10. Alex, if you had done what I thought you were going to do, you'd have hit the nail on the head, because Don only went 1 over. They are at minus 137.
No. I said I was going to go 1 ahead of him, 139.
But when you said you were going to do the alternate thing, I thought you were going to go the other way, thinking he was over, and you would have nailed it.
Oh, no. I'm not stupid. I know how the game works. I'm not giving myself a 1 goal base.
But
I was going to say minus 1 just to be a jerk, but
so minus 137, boys. Not good.
No, it's not.
All right.
Who knows? Tease for later. Maybe they sacrificed all their good for Bailey. Moving right along. That's a tease.
I don't know. Couple of television notes. Found out yesterday, if you know if the name Tim Kearing means anything to you, or Kring, depending on who you are, this was the man that created Heroes. We only recognize season 1. But he announces yesterday that he is currently shopping a sequel series called Heroes Eclipsed, which takes place after all of the mess that was seasons 2, 3, and I think there was a 4th. With a new generation, other maybe people showing up. But like I said, season 1 of that show was amazing. And then it just fell off. And then they tried a reboot, kind of, sort of, and it didn't work. And there were 4. Yeah. That first season was amazing, though. I binged.
I think the 4th season was the reboot.
Yeah, probably. I remember the first season because my wife had back surgery that year, and we bought the DVD sight unseen because so many people thought it was so amazing. And I binged like half the season while she was in surgery. on my laptop watching, and I watched every episode, and then I watched that episode with the commentary. Like, I dissected that entire box set.
Yeah, there was 4 seasons. The last one was in 2010 with a redemption. And then season 3 was Villains and Fugitives, which split 25 episodes. And then Genesis was the first 23 episodes, Generations 11 episodes in 2007.
Just watch the first season. That's all you need. Apple TV, I believe this is in your wheelhouse, Alex. I believe we talked about this. Apple TV Plus has renewed Monarch Legacy of Monsters for season 2.
I'm moderately surprised about that, but I did enjoy it. It does. Let me put it this way: if you have any issues with time jumping, don't do it.
I do know one of the series that I watched. They just talked about the season premiere. I didn't realize they'd started. Was season 2 of the Big Door Prize is coming, I believe, next month.
You have spoken very highly of it.
It's definitely an interesting ride. I'm definitely interested to see how season 2 works, because it does have a cliffhanger. But it made me go, okay. And Prime Video announced yesterday that they are they've given The Night Manager 2 more seasons, and Tom Hiddleston will return to star. They're working with.
It's been a while since that happened, hasn't it?
Yep, couple years.
Years.
And BBC working with Prime Video on that. TV on DVD and Blu-ray this week, season 4 of Star Trek Lower Decks available to you, as well as the final season and complete series for Jack Ryan available.
Love both of those shows.
Don, I have an interesting assignment for you. So as I was literally not even an hour ago going through my social media feeds, because I hadn't touched them for 4 days, and you'll find out why here in a minute, I saw in my Instagram feed a video promo for something called Aliens Expanded. Have you heard of this?
No.
This is a brand new documentary that's getting ready to be released. And if I saw it correctly, and you may want to fact check this, if you pre-order it before May the 3rd or the 5th, you could have your name in the credits of the documentary. The website is aliens-expanded.com. You have an assignment, Don. And it looks great. Like, they got everybody. They're going, apparently this thing runs deep. They're calling it the perfect companion documentary. And they're only doing this through the first week of May. So you got some time. You ain't got a ton of time.
So they're definitely setting up for that next movie.
Mm-hmm. And I think they're still did the series already happen, or is that still coming? The one on Netflix?
I don't know if it's actually still happening, but I know that it was in flux at one point. It may have pivoted to the movie, but I don't know for certain.
That is fair. That's the only movie headline I've got this week. I know that the series for Fallout started this weekend. People are raving over it.
Oh, but here's the funny thing. Have you ever heard of such positive buzz on a show that the controlling entity moves up the date twice?
I have not.
Okay, because it wasn't even supposed to be out now. Then it got moved to the 11th. Then they were like, you know what? Everybody's so excited. We're going to do it on the 10th. I was like, all right, let's go.
Movie new releases in places you get movie new releases this week. Civil War all-star cast taking place in an America where things have gone crazy. This focuses on a group of journalists. I missed the screening. I had just gotten back from Hill Country and was taking my traditional down day. Also this week, because is Nicolas Cage just trying to work a record for most number of movies consecutively in theaters? Because he's got another one coming out this week called Arcadian, where a father and his twin teenage sons fight to survive in a remote farmhouse at the end of the world.
Bro's got a lot of alimony, man.
Why am I not in that movie? Also in the "this is a thing?" department, we have a remake of Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead dropping this weekend. Friend
How
of the
does
show
this even work now?
has been promoting it a lot, so that tells me some interesting things that may or may not be a thing. Yeah. I don't. June Squibb is a name I recognize. Nicole Richie is in this. Miles Fowler. Those are the only names I recognize. So you got that going for you.
It's like, but that's one of those movies that needed to stay exactly where it was because it doesn't work before or since. It's just not.
Oh, Don?
Something up.
What?
That thing, the alien thing you're talking about.
Uh-huh.
They have different packages.
I bet
Ones
they
where you
do.
just get the thing with your credits in the DVD, and that's $49.
Uh-huh.
All the way up to the executive producer, which is $10,000, where
I got that on.
and you get you will be as the executive producer credit on IMDb.
Okay, that would be hilarious.
There is going to be a lot of EPs who did nothing.
Yeah, IMDb, a special poster, all that with the swag, all that.
I can hear Faith in the other room going, "No!"
No, that's all right. We're gonna have to create our own website called GoFundDon.
Fun, Faith. Can I get 10,000? You know that look she'll give. She'll be like,
He's like, "You better start selling peaches."
Millions of peaches.
And they will
Peaches
not be
for
free,
me.
my friend. Also this week, The Long Game. This is Dennis Quaid, Jay Hernandez, and Cheech Marin is in this. In 1955, 5 young Mexican-American caddies out of love for the game were determined how to play, so they created their own golf course in the middle of the South Texas desert.
I have heard very good things about this.
This looks great. Oscar Nunez from The Office is in this.
Mm-hmm.
Brett Cullen. I'm looking to see if there's any other names I recognize. There are. Oh, Morgana Shaw is in this. I haven't heard her name in a minute.
Yeah, it's been a little while.
Also this week, The Absence of Eden. This actually has Zoe Saldana and Garrett Hedlund in it. An ICE agent struggling with the moral dilemmas of border security and an undocumented woman fighting to escape a ruthless cartel cross paths and work together to save the life of an innocent girl. And then we have a foreign film called In Flames. This is a mother and daughter who suffer a tragedy and try to survive malevolent forces that threaten to engulf them.
Interesting.
Movies on DVD and Blu-ray this week. The Peasants. This is an animated film that hit the film. Film festival circuit.
Okay.
It's a sequel. It's European of some form. I'm told it's very long and it's very slow. Also this week, because why? Half-Baked, Totally High. That's literally the name of this.
I think it's 20 years. If I had to guess. Or close to it.
Wow, why is this not showing up on IMDb?
Because Dave Chappelle paid to have it taken down.
No, hold on. Because I get my release calendar from IMDb. Oh no, this isn't okay. This is a movie release. That's a DVD, so Lord only knows. They're doing special editions of both Fletch and Fletch Lives this week, and I love both of those movies. Also, the Criterion Collection going back overseas for Warwick Meister Harmonies this week. All right, boys, we're going to do wrestling a little bit different. We're going to kind of do it the way we used to do it because of the way last weekend happened. I want to talk about stuff sequentially, if that's all right with you boys.
Works for me.
So Friday night was SmackDown, and SmackDown had the only thing of note I had from that was good Lord, I gotta keep scrolling here. Bronson Reed winning the Andre.
They did something really smart with that booking, though. I really dug the idea that you wound up with literal giants at the end and 2 incredibly talented guys going back and forth. Not so sure about that Rolling Thunder ? But it works. And you know what? Bronson Reed is a hell of a talent.
And then Friday night was also Super Card of Honor. I actually watched that at my hotel on Friday night on my laptop. No, I watched it Monday. That's what I watched when I woke up before I went to my doctor's appointment. Davari has joined the Premier Athletes, so adjust your roster accordingly. Black Taurus is now the Beast Mortos and has signed. As we spoke, Alex reminded me, we spoke a few weeks ago about him having some licensing issues with the name.
He signed
with Ring of Honor. He's with Ring of Honor.
Okay, he's in, okay.
Your inaugural women's television champion is Billy Starks. There were some shenanigans in that match where she faked a neck injury and then defeated Queen Aminata for that title. A very interesting backstage segment where she wanted to celebrate with her mom, and her mom was like, "You didn't win this the right way." And so now Athena has adopted her.
See, I feel like that was the most awkward thing I've seen in a while. I don't know. I didn't find it interesting. I just found it weird.
I watched it right before we went on air because I caught this week's Ring of Honor is an hour and 8 minutes, and I watched 42 minutes of it because I'm trying to knock out as much as I can before the show, so I don't have to take half my day watching it tomorrow because I still got to watch Impact. Let's see. Bullet Club Gold had an open challenge, and out came Lance Archer. Alex Zane is now the Sauce.
He has been for a very long time.
Well, but I'm talking about for a while, he was just Alex Zane.
Okay, but what I'm saying is outside of NXT and of recent, he has gone with the Sauce, which is why I have been begging for this, for the Japanese dynamic duo of Monster Sauce to come stateside.
And they did, along with Minoru Suzuki. And
a Suzuki-gun throwback. We just need Shelton Benjamin and we're set.
And they did the job. Dalton Castle beats Johnny TV in a fight without honor. And a very interesting ending to that match, Don, because as we talked about last week, the boys no longer with the company. So as we get to the climax of the match, Dalton Castle looks into the camera and says, "Send me a boy." And about 9 different guys all came out and did suicide. Well, 8.5 did suicide planches because the 4th one just kind of fell over the rope because he was a larger gentleman. And then the very last one, taking his time to get to the ring, was one Paul Walter Hauser.
Excuse me, Emmy Award winning.
Who came down. I will say this. Did you get to see any of this match, Alex? Did you see the ending?
I saw clips.
Johnny TV taking the thumbtack spot face down. I was like, oh no. Also, Athena retained in a great match with Shida. If you're going to watch one match from Supercard, this is the one to watch. This match was outstanding. I very much enjoyed it. It was also Athena's 50th win in a row, as she is still your Ring of Honor Women's Champion. And Mark Briscoe, in a match that went 15, 20 minutes, he and Eddie Kingston put on a pretty good match. He is your new Ring of Honor champion.
Redneck Kung Fu, baby.
Yeah.
Think about Athena, do you mind the run with her this long as champion? Does it bother any of you guys, or do you think it's the right thing?
I think it's time to move the belt, but I think they've got to have a better story to tell to do it.
Well, I don't even know if it's the story. They got to have somebody else that can carry the belt. I mean, I wouldn't move it off of her right now, but that's also should tell you how bad Ring of Honor is from a women's perspective.
And I'm not trying to give a bias because, I've saw her before she made it and all that stuff at MPX or whatever. But how she can have great matches. I remember she had that one with Asuka in NXT, and that was considered.
She had multiples with Asuka that were great.
Yeah. But that's she could go. And do you think, would you put her to AEW and put her as the champ there or not? Because I know she went there once. They didn't do it good with her that first time.
I don't think you need to rob Peter to pay Paul right now.
Okay.
I allow me to answer it from a different perspective.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like from just a pure talent standpoint, she can stand there. The problem is right now, AEW is struggling with story, which has always been her drawback. And they're relying on talent to come up with their own stuff, like it's 1994 again. and it's not working in some circumstances. It's working great in others. And Athena has always been a great wrestler. As far as an actual entertainer, she struggles at times. So
Yeah.
yes, I would give her the belt for in-ring talent, but like Rob said, she's in her best position with ROH.
Now, if they can beef up that division a little bit better, maybe, but you would just, it just wouldn't, it would weaken that division, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Saturday morning was Stand and Deliver. Opening match, I had a question mark on, and that question mark was answered on Tuesday night because the Wolf Dogs retaining was a weird thing for me. Go ahead, Alex.
Okay, I was going to say, are we going to just skip over the kickoff match?
Or lack thereof.
There was still a match. I mean, I thought it was going to go 100% the other way when Ridge Holland attacked Joe Gacy on the entryway, but good job, Sean Spears, making somebody look better like you always do.
As he does. And boy, when Ridge Holland showed up on Tuesday night, there was a lot of pit sweat going on there for him just walking. But the Wolf Dogs then Tuesday night do surrender the tag chance to Axiom and Nathan Frazier, and then are attacked by AOP.
That surprised me.
Yeah. We have Ava announced that there will be a tournament to crown their inaugural Women's North American Champion. Alex is already shaking his head.
I love the idea of giving more women a goal. The problem is this should have been introduced when you had a good women's division. And I'm not saying that the people in that division are bad, but it is a shallow pool. And if you're going to be doing the same thing as Ring of Honor that has no pool, it's just bad on both fronts. You want to do something, give us a women's IC title or something where there is talent that's maybe not quite challenging for the world title on Raw or SmackDown. Give us some, because that is a quality deep division. NXT and ROH and AEW, actually, nowhere outside of Stardom is it better than WWE right now, and that's where your secondary belt should be.
Let me ask you this, because they haven't said when the tournament's going to start yet.
I know where you're going with this. I like this question.
The next 2 weeks are NXT Spring Breakers, and then after that is the draft, which we know NXT will be involved in. Do you start that tournament after the draft, perhaps taking some of your mid-card and lower card talent from the other two brands and bring them to NXT?
That is exactly the question I thought you were going to ask. I think it's a great question. I believe it's Spring Breakin'. Spring Breakers is something else with
that
James
was a
Franco.
movie, but I think they originally called it that, and that's why my brain went there.
Okay, yeah, I think it's Spring Breakin' Electric Boogaloo.
Okay, I'm here for it. I'm hoping that's what they do, because they've got a long time to their next plea, which I need to correct last week. It's not in Savannah, Georgia. That's where it originally was going to be. It is now going to be in the UFC facility in Vegas
at the Apex.
Yes.
Yeah. But no, that's okay. Let's take this one step further, because I think we're all on board with that idea of doing it post draft and having more talent that maybe doesn't have as much to do on the main roster. Who would be your big surprise in the tournament, and who would you have it win if coming down, quote unquote, from Raw or SmackDown?
If I were to put it on somebody, and you're giving me the entire roster, not just the NXT roster right now?
Yes, sir.
I find it hard to believe. And the fact that she was in the audience and they didn't name check her, I thought was weird. I think Julia's your inaugural North American champion.
I'm sorry, who?
Julia.
Oh, yes. Okay. Sorry. There was a little static on my end. I didn't hear you so clearly.
She was there sitting with Regal,
yes,
and they didn't name check either one of them, which I thought was strange.
What do you mean?
The only thing Vic Joseph
Oh,
said.
okay,
was
okay. No,
people looking on.
I was thinking of Stand and Deliver when they actually put up her name and highlighted her.
But when they first showed her sitting with Regal, there was nothing, and they were just like, with people looking on. I'm like, can you say who that is, please?
Well, they got there eventually. Because that was Rashi on the other side of Regal too.
Yeah, which it's kind of strange. But that would be to me, that's betting with house money though, because
that's an interesting one. I'm thinking more along the lines of, and I know I am the minority here, but Liv Morgan doesn't do it for me. She's somebody who should still be in NXT learning how to be interesting. But in that same scope, you know who I would really strongly consider, at least for your foil for the finals?
Okay.
Nikki Cross.
Like her a lot.
What about you, Don?
Yeah, I could see Nikki Cross. Liv Morgan, and I can't see your point. She could go, she's athletic, and she could play that kind of weird psycho thing pretty well. But for me, I don't think she's kind of getting it either. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
who would you have if you brought somebody from Raw or SmackDown?
I said Nikki Cross.
No. But I was saying, is there anybody else that you would think of to come from Raw or SmackDown?
I could see like Liv too.
I
don't want to bring them down.
Thinking.
Yeah, that's a good one. Can't think off the top of my head right now.
My second choice would be Shotzi.
That's a good one.
Yeah, bring her back down.
Yeah, because I like Shotzi a lot. I'm a big fan. Always.
And they're not doing much with her right now either. Unfortunately.
Well, the problem is on the other two brands, you've got so much going on in the women's division, which tends to happen, especially this time of year when the draft happens and we deplete NXT and then reload it. It wouldn't. I think she's good for that tournament.
You know who would be a really interesting one, and has yet to wrestle for the company? Scarlett. Held titles everywhere she's been. Hasn't even wrestled with WWE.
Yeah, the only thing she's done are dark matches and house shows. She hasn't done anything on TV, and as we know, if it doesn't happen on TV, it doesn't count. But no, yeah, I agree with you 100% there, because she's got skills and she can go. We just haven't been able to see it.
Yeah, and I figure with AOP coming down and Final Testament, we might be seeing some teases of people being moved into NXT.
Shout out to Ricardo, who just gave us a thumbs up. Thank you, brother. Roxanne Perez wins the title back from Lyra Valkyria in a match that I kind of surprised they put that belt back on her, but she's doing great heel work, and she said she's having the time of her life doing it. So, also shocked at and still your NXT champion.
Well, I have a theory for both belts, but I think it's going out the window with the draft. And I thought we were about to get it on a later show where somebody is no longer with NXT, so it has the traditional aspect of going up above a ladder with multi people.
And as we know,
I was thinking that for both.
As we know, as I missed this when I watched NXT, but apparently this coming week we are getting, as part of Spring Break into Electric Boogaloo, we are getting Carmelo Hayes, Trick Williams in a cage. I somehow missed that.
Oh, no. It was real easy to miss because there wasn't anything on air. It was during the attack at the end, and Carmelo just said it.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. I thought overall a good show. I thought the triple threat was good, not great. Adding Ivar to that mix, and of course Big E's influence all over that segment. I like Ivar. I like that he didn't come out in all the garb, which I can't remember the last time that happened.
I can tell you it was still as a tag team.
Yeah. I miss War Machine. But I think that'll be a fun. I like how you're taking these guys that we all know can go and giving them spots in NXT. Again, we know it should be a third brand. We've always said that. We know it on some level, it will always be developmental because it's a good place to do that. But getting, this is crossing the streams I don't mind because it's good for the other.
So how long is the Ibar's partner from War Machine? How long is he going to be out for now?
He was expected to be out 1.5 years.
That bad,
and it's been probably about 11 months now. But that's part of the reason they gave him this King Ivar thing, was so that he was able to do something, because I wish I could remember who the producer was. But it was somebody who might not even still be with the company. And they were like, all right, who do we throw out versus, and I think it was Ricochet at the time. And they're like, did you not watch ROH? That dude can go. And that's how Ivar got thrown into it, and it became a thing.
I'm a big fan.
Same.
And Obafemi did a great job. I can't.
You know what? That was a star performance very early on for him, because that was his 12th match.
Yeah,
they said.
And that's a monster of a human.
Yeah, it is.
So, let's talk Collision real quick, because Collision is as close to Saturday night's main event that we're ever going to get, because it was on in that time slot. FTR advances to the finals of the tag team tournament. We'll talk about that here in a little while. And I don't like the Dustin Rhodes thing on Saturday night. That kind of angered me. I was like, that's not necessary. Stop it. Like, don't. Oh, we have Team Not Extreme. That's actually.
I'm sorry, that line popped me from the Michael Cole comment.
Well, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, on Raw's on Raw last week, it is Ricardo. Okay, cool. Or was it on Mania? No, it was on SmackDown or wherever Ricochet. No, because Ricochet, it had to be on Raw because it was McAfee when he referred to the Puma. So
that was a few weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I just thought that was the Dustin thing was not necessary.
Nah,
but it is what it is. Let's get into night 1 of Mania. Let me get back to, I should have done this differently on the run sheet. Night 1 of Mania. First of all, new signature intro, and I like it. We do have to talk Hall of Fame. I am so sorry. The ringside seating I thought was cool.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that maybe it's because there was no stage and they just needed the real estate. Because usually that stage set is a little deeper on each side. Yeah. But I dug it.
Plus you have the space by the entry that didn't exist today.
A little shocked that Heyman started the show, but sort of me. And of course that speech was gold.
Absolutely. We can't repeat a bunch of it, but
and neither can Peacock, because I watched it and it beeped all over the place.
Yep.
They need to handle those crowd mics better. You know how my setup is, Alex, and those rear speakers were just like the whole time. Yeah. So yeah, work on that, WWE.
Plus Philly being Philly.
And wow, I didn't care about the People's Championship.
No, I don't. I mean, you could tell there's craftsmanship that goes into the belt, but it's like,
it's a beautiful belt, but that should have just been
throwing stuff against the wall.
Yeah, give it to him in a case, take it home, put it on the wall.
Yeah.
Like we know that Rock was.
They got something they could sell on the internet and stuff now. Another belt.
They will. I don't think that's on Shop.
It is not currently, but it looks like the Rock Legacy belt,
which was supposed to be a belt for him originally, and it got lost at an airport somewhere. Mm-hmm. We all know the story. So Saturday, new signature intro, and I dig it.
Mm-hmm.
I like how they had a little thing at the end too, that they're only, I guess, using for please because this has been a special presentation of.
Yeah.
Dug it. Very much here for it. Shout out to the guy that did the VO for the Open, saying it's the 40th annual WrestleMania. So he didn't have to hear 40th anniversary because it's not. Next year is. I thought Becky's entrance was fantastic. With the book.
I don't even think she had the best entrance in that match, but it was cool.
Oh, both of them did. I loved both of their intros. Because you and I talked about this.
Yeah, and as I want to reiterate, I'm going to get it out of the way off the top. Motionless in White was great. And as much as we defend Pat McAfee, and deservedly so in many instances. McAfee's take on this can go suck it.
But I loved Becky's entrance, and it took me a while so she was in the ring, and I could see that the skirt was modeled after pages of the book. Like, I thought that was really, really dope.
And it was on her knee pads and select areas of the gear as well. That was really cool.
And something we talk about quite a bit when these things happen, Rhea Ripley kind of bucking a trend with having her theme played live, which I was like, uh-oh. Because as we know, normally if they play your theme live, you're not coming out with the dub. And Rhea did in a great match. And Alex, I will defer to you about this because you're the one that told me this story. And I thought it was one of the coolest things I heard of the weekend.
Now, and it's obviously secondhand from us. There was a lot of talk about how Becky was under the weather, wasn't feeling well, and it drew a lot of the focus there for whatever reason. And there is no shame in this. Kudos to Rhea coming to Becky's defense against the IWC, talking about her dragging Rhea down. Rhea coming out to say, opening the show or the live performance or all of it coming together, gave her a panic attack because she had never opened a Mania like this, especially with a crowd. And Becky is the one with her experience dealing with people who have had issues in the past, was the one that was able to work with her, get her to calm down, get her to the point where she could go out and be Rhea Bloody Ripley. And as I've heard multiple people accurately say, maybe it's not the best match those two could have put on, but it was still a Mania match and it was still good.
It's a great match. Very much enjoyed it. DIY finally embracing the DX-ness of it all in the ladder match. And we have it, boys. We have what I've been hoping for. It happened. We have split the tag titles. Because kind of surprised.
Did I get my EP credit on night one? I just want to know, because you're welcome for the idea.
Well, and I loved the match. I thought it was a lot of fun. Kind of surprised to see A-Town Down Under get those SmackDown tag titles. But again, you swerved me, you got me, because that was not where my betting money would have gone.
I feel like that's what we're going to have to start referring to as a Meltzer special in the industry. Somebody says it to him like, oh, A-Town Down Under is going to get replaced in this match. It might be by the Hardys or something. And it's so off base that you just have to go completely against the grain.
Well, the rumor I had heard was they were still going to try to put Pretty Deadly in it. And that didn't happen.
Yeah, that was one of the other ones that got spun off of the A-Town Down Under being replaced, quote unquote.
And then your new Raw Tag Champs, Awesome Truth, with R-Truth getting his first Mania win, which was an interesting stat that I didn't know. I'm
still shocked it was their first win and first tag titles.
And a great match. This was a fun match. Two solid matches coming out of the gate for WrestleMania. And because I watched both nights in one day. I took a breather in the middle. I had to have a
fortunately, it was during this era and not a past era. You'd probably still be watching.
And I didn't watch the pre-shows because I'd still be watching television. Yeah. But two solid matches out of the gate, Don.
If you guys had the book in the checkbook for a year, would you have split up the titles? That's my first question to both. You Alex?
It's what I've been 100%. Asking for months.
I was waiting. We've been calling for it for a long time. I was waiting to let you finish your sub parts of the question in case they bled over.
Yeah, and then my thing is, I think Awesome Truth was a good for one of them. I still like the idea of one because it kind of lowers them down a little bit when you just had 1 versus 2. Because who's that take to? It's kind of like a unwritten just note on the side, but. Okay, Awesome Truth, I think we all agree was a good pick. Who would have been your other pick on the other titles if you're the book and checkbook for a year? Would you have put Pretty Deadly, or would you have left it with A-Town or somebody else? Or
you know what? I would not have thought A-Town Down Under was a logical choice. And I apologize, Rob. I wanted to jump in on this one.
No, please do.
I love both of those guys. I know I'm not supposed to because they are such thorough heels, but they're good guys and they know how to work.
They're good at what they do.
Yeah,
if I
they're
were to
the
pick,
kind of
go ahead.
smarmy champions that you want, where they cheat, steal, and get it through, but with an accent.
If you were asking me to pick a SmackDown team, my original thought was going to be New Catch Republic.
Here's the other part about that, and we might have to get some explanations coming, and we may not get one until the draft. I don't know that it had to be SmackDown champions, because it's just whoever wins the SmackDown belts.
No, I agree, but I'm just saying if you were going to follow that logic. Now, Don, to answer your first question about the tag splits, let me pose it to you this way. How many times in the last year, or as long as Judgment Day has had those belts, how many times did they defend them on SmackDown?
I don't know.
That's the problem. They were only defending them on Raw. So you had the tag division on SmackDown had nothing to care about. This is why splitting them is the right thing, because you have two separate rosters. You should have two separate sets of champions. I've never been a fan of the brand split, but I get it. You having Universal Tag Champs, unless you're defending them on both shows on a regular basis, it's not good for the product. I'm just saying that. Yeah. And now that I have a tag team with belts on both shows, now both shows' tag team divisions have something to shoot for.
See, I would have done Pretty Deadly and Awesome Truth for the two winners. I would have threw them in, because they did good with as the NXT champions. And I think they do better than
I 100% agree with Don that they can be champions, but I was going to stick with what was in the match.
Okay.
Pretty Deadly is a team, if you're going to put those belts on them, which they've been NXT, I believe they've had both UK and NXT tag
They
belts.
have.
They're a team that you want to put them in a featured match because they're such good. Especially they're another team that are great heels, and they can't do good heel stuff in a match like that. They can do heel stuff, but not as good as you would put them in a 2-on-2 match, in my opinion.
But your other problem with Pretty Deadly, and I'm curious your responses on this, they're getting dangerously close to what we refer to as the Jake Roberts territory. You're never going to be a champion because you're entertaining without the prop.
But now I think you're going to see more of them now that there is a prop, because again, there's something for tag teams to go for. And now that you have that, you can feature a team like Pretty Deadly in a title picture. Do they have to win it? No. But to put them in that highlight match, and if you don't think they're going to be vying for those titles at your next plea, given where said plea is, you're out of your mind. That's your SmackDown tag team title match. I'm saying it now. It's going to be and it's going to be heels versus heels. And I don't care, because you're going to have A-Town Down Under versus Pretty Deadly, and it's going to tear the roof off the place.
Okay, can I break your brain for a second? Because I was having a very similar thought. I think you wind up with a 4-way at the next play, and you have the heel teams being A-Town Down Under and Pretty Deadly, New Catch Republic, and fill in a fourth face team, and there's simultaneous pins, and you wind up with A-Town Down Under Pretty Boys, and you have the new Freebird rules that is just the Yes Boy rules, and any of the four you wind up with Austin Theory and Kit Wilson, or Elton Fritz and Grayson Waller, and it just goes absolutely mayhem because there's so many of them to cheat the good face teams. I want this booking. Let me book this tag division right now.
And it's France.
Oh, see, I was waiting on Don to do the thing.
Two great match. I said France, Don.
France.
So you could go ha ha ha.
No, you didn't say Montreal. Ha, ha.
Right, but that's French Canadian. We just figured you'd do it anyway.
No.
Because it originates with France.
That is true. We are from France.
But I was at Montreal ha, ha, last year.
Two solid matches. Then we get to the tag match, which was much better than it had to be. When you have now, if you don't see the writing on the wall here, we have a Carlito turn coming.
Oh, absolutely.
What's going to happen is it's going to be Carlito that did the attack because he was kind of butthurt when Andrade decided he was going to help Ray. The one thing from this match, and I'm not sure, but I don't think Joaquin Wilde has landed yet after that slingshot off the middle rope. Holy cow.
That was
Ridiculous. Like, to the point where I stood up and went, whoa, what just happened here? That was amazing. Very much enjoyed that. Another thing I called, because I had to talk to Alex about this because I was just like, did I miss this? Damage Control changing the entrance music because they don't have Bailey. Alex told me that's been actually happening for a little while, but this was the first time that song was on, like, was more prevalent
to a Mania level.
Bailey came in. It was, I don't know if the explanation Graves gave was the actual background on her entrance. It was a great cover if it wasn't, but I thought her entrance was cool. She only was able to name check one of the 4 guys because somebody asked who they were, and she only knew the social media for one of them. But she did say, no, that's not who you thought it was, but they were all great, and I was very thankful. I thought her outfit was cool.
No, we've jumped off too quickly. Ricardo, once again, is correct. But it does give us that endless meme of, hey, Ray, we want to put over these young guys. F them kids.
bring me Philadelphia Eagles. Well, one former, but bring me Philadelphia Eagles. I did like Ray's mask.
I thought it, honestly, I thought it was both Kelsey's, and I was like, ooh, Travis got pudgy. Oh, nope, Lane Johnson.
But I did like Ray's mask at the Hall of Fame. Another solid mask out of him.
His Louis collection.
And new, I mean, I think our predictions were pretty solid. I think we got more right than we got wrong. And new Intercontinental Champion in Sami Zayn. Again, showing it doesn't matter who you are. Gunther made a great match with someone he very much was much larger than. Sami Zayn, one of the great wrestlers of our time, but just like he did with Ilya Dragunov, he knows how to take people that he has a severe size advantage because that's most of the planet, and he knows how to work with them on a good match. I loved this match. Alex.
I love Sami. I will always love Sami. Even El Sami. But there is an interesting rumble. And you know how it's almost impossible to avoid the IWC, and usually it's just all filth?
Yep.
Within those waters that came to me over the last week, there was a very well thought out and explained explanation why Sami was the wrong guy. And it was the fact that every time we've had some kind of magnanimous champion, then it has been a big deal of them getting dethroned. It's been a young up-and-comer to launch them into a stratosphere like somebody who needs it, whereas Sami's already in that beloved range. Now, I have zero issue with Sami winning the IC title because I've been calling for Gunther to be world title level for years. But I want to hear your guys' thoughts on, if you could go back, would you replace Sami with somebody who hasn't had a singles title? And I'm not necessarily saying specifically Gable, so let's throw the low-hanging fruit off the vine. But is there somebody in that young sphere that you would have thought could have benefited more from dethroning Gunther?
That's in the current top rosters and not NXT?
Anywhere. You're the booker right now.
Okay, so I'm trying to figure who's young who hasn't had a single title, who's on the top rosters right now. I'm trying to figure who that is. Who hasn't had a single title?
Well, I'm saying somebody who hasn't had a title in WWE is my starting point. Okay, but it could be somebody who's had a title that's on the rise, like a Ricochet. Yeah. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, but Ricochet had it. Do you know what I would have done?
Go for it.
Don't get me wrong. Gunther's been a great champion. I would have kept the title on him.
But what I'm saying is not just this match. Who would you think who would benefit the best / most by dethroning Gunther?
I would. Well, here's what. Let me say this, because I want to make a point on this. What I would, and I would have had Sammy in the match, but I'd have him lose, and then I
Mhm.
would have made Gunther champion still for another year. Then he goes in title, and he goes for the championship at WrestleMania next year, kind of like a Hulk.
So you give him the warrior aspect?
Yeah,
Okay.
title versus title, whatever, both. It's my turn now. I held this for 700. I mean, almost.
At
He
that
was
point,
like,
it's at 900. Yeah.
900 days. I want the title now. It's my turn.
Okay.
But who would I, if I had to get him off somebody who's young? I wouldn't say Gable, because he had so many shots at it already. Zayn was good. I'm trying to think of, gosh, I'd have to think on that one.
Rob, do you have somebody locked and loaded?
Here's the conundrum. In a situation like that, I'm not doing it at Mania.
Mm-hmm.
That if I'm gonna do that at a major, that's a SummerSlam moment. Ricardo has a really strong case just now.
Yeah.
Braun Breaker is definitely on that list because, and we've said this now that he's going to be moved up, you gotta, but the problem is he's on SmackDown, but that's logistics. I think
there's the draft.
Right. I think he's a very strong candidate for the IC title. I would have let Gunther have it for one more day. But
I said the same thing.
Why one more day?
Because he had it 666 days. Give him one more day, please.
I see your point.
But I think, Breaker's probably your clubhouse leader in that particular arena because it's all so jumbled. I just don't know that there's somebody else that I'm willing to put in that picture.
I had a realization while I was listening to you guys, and it's completely a different path.
Okay.
We've had two guys recently rumored to have signed with the company. One is already full polished. The other one, I just love watching wrestle. What if it was somebody who hasn't been seen in the company yet, and you hotshot a Tama Tonga or Jacob Fatu?
That was the one I was going to say I thought you were referring to because
I didn't think of Tama Tonga because he is older. He has held almost every belt in Japan. But I was thinking of Jacob Fatu, and it's like, how else do you make somebody coming in look like a big deal? Do it the same way you did with Umaga, maybe with less face paint, but still. Just have somebody go right in, and it's like, if you create a monster, it's that the only time Goldberg was ever interesting was because he beat Brock Lesnar in 6 seconds or whatever it was. So you have something like that.
But we all agree that Sammy's not dropping that title next Monday.
You know what? There was something said earlier, and I got to give Ricardo credit for this because I was watching the chat. The heel turn for Gable, if you have him cheat to win in Montreal to dethrone Sammy on a short IC run, the heat in that building will melt steel.
Oh, God, I didn't think
about that. I can see that. I forgot it's in Montreal.
Not the best Rock entrance ever, but it was still pretty cool. I was really hoping that Cody would have done that with his mask shape on Sunday just to take the shot, but it was pretty cool. And yeah, Ricardo,
sorry, I just saw Ricardo.
You'd have to put him in an armored truck to get him out of Montreal.
Don't you kind of want that though? That's news, and Gable can handle himself to an extent.
The main event,
French. What are they going to do? Slap him?
The main event definitely went long for me.
Yeah.
Especially since night 1 was almost a full hour longer than night 2. I mean, it was still entertaining.
So you didn't have this. Before we get too far off, so you didn't have the same punny note that I did from Dwayne's entrance.
Go ahead,
Dwayne Grell.
Oh yeah, I saw that you had mentioned that today, and I giggled, but I wasn't going to steal your thunder.
Oh no! I genuinely thought you would have had the same thought in a vacuum.
Well, because my first question was, did they put him on the Cody Vader?
I don't think he came up.
Because it looked like it at first, but then I looked at more and I'm like, maybe, oh no, because it looked like it might have been too close to the flames.
Yeah, there was video of him walking out, I believe,
Okay.
and the actual Brahma bull closed in around him before lighting on fire.
Well, if he had come up on the Cody Vader, I thought that would have been a very interesting heel move,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But it was a good match. To say that was probably my least favorite match of night one says a lot about night one, because that entire 4 hours of my life, I was fully entertained.
There were a couple of matches I was just not as entertained by, but overall it was very good.
So let's get into Sunday.
Let's roll.
Opens up. The very first word spoken as the match starts is CM Punk using the word sacrilege. And I can't say I disagree. Perfect heel move by Drew McIntyre to have an entire bagpipe band playing Piper's theme. I was like, this is a ballsy move, and I appreciate it.
Well, and you saw the social media post. Apparently, he was supposed to have a much bigger outfit.
Yes. But you know
Yeah.
what? Shout out to the costume designer who stayed up until 6 o'clock in the morning getting that thing ready.
Absolutely.
So, but I liked the outfit. I thought it looked cool.
Yes, it did. And then the mummers happen.
Yeah, that if you're going to open a match, well, did you notice something Cole said? And they're like, oh, this reminds me of Mardi Gras. And Cole going, this reminds me of a guy from NXT. And I went, oh, they no way Jose'd it.
No, that wasn't No Way Jose. That was the Rosebuds.
Well, no, because no way Jose had that too.
Right, but I took it as the Rosebuds because all of the dress up and everything, whereas No Way Jose was just people doing a conga with one guy dressed as a burger.
Ricardo says his dad wondered if that was New Orleans. Great entrance. Don't be a lemon, be a rosebud.
Ricardo, I need you to stop popping me in the comments, bro.
And then Drew wins, runs his mouth to Punk. Punk then showing he is cleared, knocks McIntyre out, and here comes Damian Priest.
See, I didn't take that as him being cleared. I just took that as him being opportunistic with a weapon.
And the social media that has followed has been gold.
Have you heard the woman yelling at McIntyre for like a solid 5 minutes in a very profanity-laced anger burst?
Well, I wouldn't have heard it because by the time they would have bleeped it all out.
No. This was completely independent. McIntyre reposted it today.
Oh, wow. And you know what? I dig it.
Yeah.
You know, and did you notice did you say something on Raw that I said?
I'm sorry. I need you to repeat that question. I was not prepared for what you just said.
He said something on Raw that made me go, we did it first. Because a certain chant hit his ears when he hit the ring.
You're going to have to tell me. I missed it.
You're damn right I deserve it. We did it first. That was my reaction. We did it first.
Yep.
But that was a great moment. I very much enjoyed it. I thought it was fun.
You think? I mean, McIntyre. Do you think he's cool with that whole thing with the booking on that?
He had to be.
I think he sees the money.
I mean, this is going to be. I still don't know that. I think that title rematch happens with Priest before Backlash. Probably, or McIntyre moves to SmackDown. One of the two.
Well, that because he kind of got robbed of his WrestleMania moment because of COVID, and now he finally gets the title at Mania and he does the thing. Do you think that was the right move? Do you think
It
I
was
know they may say, what do you think about this? Do you think in real life he was cool with the booking? Or do you think I got to take it because I'm getting a paycheck, even though I don't like it?
Alex.
Yeah.
I think that Drew McIntyre is far too intelligent to have an issue with this.
Yep.
Because there's two ways about it. Number one, he did get his win in front of a crowd, including his wife, who he got to
Yeah.
hold the belt. Number two, that will be remembered far more than just winning the title. Number three, he knows that the big money fight is with Punk, and you don't need a title for that. And that's the kind of program people remember and talk about.
Okay.
And the way the story is told, it's real simple. If he doesn't hang out and run his mouth, he doesn't lose his title. Because if he takes
that's the profanity laced woman.
Yeah, if he takes the title and just goes backstage, he might still have it. But because he chose to run his mouth at Punk and keep running his mouth at Punk and push Punk to the point where Punk knocks him out, well, that's why you had the belt for 5 minutes and 40.
Get a picture of this. I want it framed.
Yeah, that was funny. That made me giggle.
I did pop it though.
Snoop on commentary. It's Snoop.
My
Bubba
favorite.
Go ahead.
My favorite one-liner from that was, "This is my new favorite thing. A WWE Hall of Famer who doesn't understand wrestling or what moves are doing commentary."
Snoop can do whatever he wants. I'm good with it.
That is fair.
Bubba Ray as your special guest ref for the street fight. Very much enjoyed that. Not a great street fight, but it was enough to kind of get us ready for the next thing. It was a good breather.
Yeah. And it gave us a break from just consecutive regular matches.
AJ's theme got remixed.
Oh, he's been teasing a new theme altogether for about a month and a half now.
It
you didn't know how land for me.
Well, and you know how I feel about theme songs where the person talks at the beginning of it. Outside of Booker T. I'm not a fan. The music speaks. The music does what the music's supposed to do. We got to talk about the golf cart. God bless you, Kevin Owens. God bless you, Kevin Owens. First of all, him explaining the t-shirt on SmackDown was just pure joy for me.
Okay, I was angry at Logan Paul for spoiling that set for me early. But my favorite part of that golf cart, and I stop me if I'm going to steal your thunder.
No, not at all.
Is him driving all the way to the ring to realize, oh, wait, Randy's still back there and he walks really slow. So I have to go get him.
And the exchanger's like, no, get on. Randy's like, he's like, no, get on the golf cart. Come on. Like,
there was one piece of that missing, and I don't think Randy trusted him or whatever. They should have had a belly brace, which is what you would use in some of those circumstances, so he could just do the pose the entire way and just stay there like the reverse of a hood ornament.
And for those of you wondering what we're talking about, that's what Jade and them used on Saturday night because they were on that platform. So basically the thing Randy was holding on to, it would have been behind him with like a belt that he could put around him so that it stabilizes. Jade and Naomi and Bianca actually had that. That was a cool entrance too, by the way.
You know what? There was one thing that spoiled that for me though. They had a bad angle and you could see the lights right through. And I'm like, yeah, just a basic scissor lift underneath there.
It's all right. Still cool. The pop-up power bomb into the RKO. It's not the curb stomp, but dear God, it's close. That was a great that was
a fun match.
Better than it had to be as well.
Although somebody tell Speed he needs to not say certain things or yeah.
And I think
I know he's not the brightest, but
well, I also think they didn't pull the pins on that table, so he landed on it just to say, hey, welcome to our world, my friend. Let's see. And new WWE Women's Champion in Bayley in a good match. Really good storytelling, I thought, in that match. Absolutely. Really enjoyed that as well. I did stumble on the main event win, but I'm really glad I was able to avoid everything leading up to it. Normally, a match booked like that annoys me,
Same.
but the way they did it, I was just like, you know what? I am enjoying this. I purposely stopped Peacock right before Cody's entrance because I was watching that in my office. I'm like, the rest of this I want to watch on my big screen.
It's fair.
And I'm glad because, for those of you that are wondering, Cody's mask was made by the same people who made the Fiend mask, which I thought was cool.
I did have notes on that mask.
Go ahead.
It should have had the paint like the tattoo. If they wanted to sell the fact that it was the tattoo, they should have not left it as just a plain white skull.
I thought it looked cool, and Brandy very thankful at the pop she got when she walked out. Did you see what I didn't see the picture of what it was, but Cody got a special presentation this past weekend that I think you would be very interested in.
I am not aware of this.
They presented him with a special Pharaoh edition of the game.
Nice. There was a fan makeup of that.
So yeah, there was a tweet, but I couldn't click on the video. But yeah, apparently they did that for him.
Nice.
Thought you would very much enjoy that. But that match was literally everything but the kitchen sink.
Mm-hmm.
And it all worked. Like there was no like, okay, we just did that to do that. Like it all worked into the story, which I thought was really the booking and that match was brilliantly booked, in my opinion. I very much enjoyed that match.
Yeah. Big shout out to Michael Hayes and Bobby Roode for booking that.
Yep. Great job by them. It was just do what?
Bobby Roode booked that one
with Michael Hayes.
Yeah. He produced both main events. Both nights.
I did not know. I didn't know Bobby Roode was on that one.
Yeah, no, he's been working as a producer now for 3-4 months at least. And I read that the next day and was like, wow, let's go, Bobby.
Well, and the only other part about that was people being like, oh, I thought Stone Cold was showing up, like, and the rumors that he was supposed to be the Undertaker spot. And I'm like, it kind of works better with Taker to me.
Yep. And with both of them disappearing afterwards too, clearing the way for the end of that match. And it was a true back and forth. It was even for as long as it went, I very much enjoyed it. I thought it was well done. I thought the celebration after was great.
Did you see the video of Heyman and Roman at the top of the ramp?
I read about it.
I saw it.
Yeah, that pulled at the heartstrings, but it made me wonder one of two things. Is Roman done? Is he full-blown Hollywood at this point? Or is this just one of those that they know that this is the end of that chapter?
Oh, I know that he's taking time off, but they didn't say for how long. He and Seth both are. And for those of you playing the home game,
when do you think he'll be back, though?
Oh, I have a fantasy booking that LA will hate, and I know because I told him.
Well, one thing I found out on that, him calling out Triple H and Bruce Pritchard after the match.
Yeah.
That was not scripted. That was impromptu.
But that's also part of this new era they're establishing, because if it was somebody else back there, it wouldn't have happened. But
they said no.
They would have cut the feed.
It wouldn't have happened before. Now with Triple H, he actually, he allowed it, and I thought that's cool that he did that, and he actually came out. But that's kind of impromptu, and I think they talk about the new era and stuff like that. I didn't know that was like not scripted, but that was really cool that even Triple H did come down.
Yeah. Ricardo asked a very valid question. I did not cry, but I I did get a little emotional because I thought the story was really well told. And for those of you wondering, now you're currently your longest reigning men's champion is Logan Paul at 159 days, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Everybody else is less than 5.
To answer Ricardo's question, I definitely cried. There was waterworks, no doubt.
Did Roman beat Hogan's record?
No.
It would have had to gone at least
300 days.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now that it's happened, grade the card, boys. And we're going to run a little over tonight.
For
I'll go ahead.
WrestleMania,
Grade the card.
A
Just grade
minus.
the card.
For WrestleMania, A minus. For a plea, I would say A plus.
Alex.
I had really high hopes with the A ahead of time, and I don't want to say it disappointed me, but it wasn't as solid. So I agree with Don on the A minus as a Mania, but as a plea, this is a good jumping on point for new storytelling with the new era. I'd still stick with a solid A as a show in general.
I said B plus going into it because I was being cautiously optimistic. I can't say A plus, but I can think about it a lot. Definitely a solid A. Best overall Mania, in my opinion, since they've gone to 2 nights. Fantastic from beginning to end. I am still exhausted. Just after watching everything. I mean, literally for the last 4 days, I've been watching television from the time I got up until the time I went to bed, outside of having meetings. Ricardo says A minus and an A. I think that's probably about right. Although I liked night 1 a little bit better. Night 2 had more surprises. But all overall, very much enjoyed Mania this year. A lot of fun, very rewatchable as well. Raw after Mania. I love Triple H. We had to bootleg it a little bit. And apparently, and Ricardo reached out to me the other day, and this is going to be the set for a while. And I'm okay with it. I like this set.
Ricardo and I also talked about this. I don't believe it is actually going to be. I think that's one of those reports. We're going to get something between the larger Tron and this. So there's still going to be an entryway, but they are definitely going to be prioritizing ticket sales.
Scale it back. Yeah, because you sell more tickets because you don't have the big screen up there. That Cody tribute was amazing. Loved it.
Oh my God. Okay, that made me cry harder than the win. Not even joking.
And I feel like there needs to be an asterisk on something.
Uh-oh.
You can say all day long 201,924 people. I think the actual terminology should be we sold 201,924 tickets.
I see what you're doing there.
Because unique humans would mean you emptied out the arena and put a whole new group of people in there, which we all know they didn't.
Right.
And we can all say firsthand that they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can say 201,924 tickets sold. Now, Snoop Dogg sneaking a 420 in there in his count was a bit of a different thing. But yeah, I mean, still 201,000, almost 202,000 tickets. That's still impressive.
Well, and they don't even have to just specifically say tickets. They can get cutesy with it in some way. They could say 201,000 or 211,000 people coming through turnstiles or turnstile turns or something of its ilk.
I also noticed something, and Alex, keep me honest on this.
I'll try.
When we went to the Superstore, that was a quote unquote ticketed event, but you didn't have to pay to get in, correct?
Oh, no, you had to pay to get in.
Oh, was it? Because I saw it when they were talking about tickets on sale now. I'm like, I don't think
at select times you had to pay to get in.
Okay, fair enough. The Liv Morgan chair shot looked a little stiff. She might have aimed a little high on that.
Well, I think they're getting more familiar with the tossed chair not having the concussive impact, and they're just seeing what they can do. And let's be honest, she was probably told to hit Rhea with a chair, and Rhea said, "You know what? Go for the head. Let's do it."
Oh, Brian's checking in. Hey, brother, it's good to see you. But again, overall, a great weekend. I don't really want to talk about Dynamite because people have beaten that whole thing into the ground, and I'm kind of done with it.
What about Dynamite last night?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just not yet. Trust me, Don, it's not worth talking about.
Okay.
I think it's hilarious.
The big thing that everybody's causing a ruckus over, it's a non-story in my opinion.
Oh, I think it's one of the more hilarious things I've seen. And that's not just because I've always been on Team Punk.
Yeah. So, but again, an overall great weekend for the sport of professional wrestling. This is the reason I love Mania. And I want to say thank you to everybody that really went out of their way to not spoil things for me, because it really helped me enjoy the weekend. The things I stumbled on, I just stumbled on that were, when Bob and Tom were talking about it, and it was briefly, but I heard of WrestleMania. Pause. I'm not listening any further. I love our sport.
Right.
And
I want to add something in about the whole. If I was Triple H and this is the quote new era,
sure,
this is what I would do. Say this is how it's going to be from now on, while I'm in charge or whatever. Number one is Friday Night SmackDown is just the Hall of Fame. SmackDown is the Hall of Fame only.
Yeah,
come in.
I agree with you there. That's a long night for people that have not been through it.
Yeah, and that way it still gives prominence with the stage, but our SmackDown,
Don, before you get too far into this, I kind of have a request or an idea on this.
Yeah.
Should we, because we're going to have a lot of downtime between Mania and the next thing, should we tease the idea when we're doing a more full show, since we're already running really late? Each of us come up with ideas what we would have in this new era, because I love that idea, Don.
Yeah.
But I want to have more time to talk on it than just, negative 5 minutes.
Save for another show.
Yeah. No, but
and we'll all contribute on that one. But Don, your EP credit on that segment.
And I got a couple other things which I think would,
let's definitely talk when we have more time, because I don't know about you boys, but I'm tired. But again, a great weekend of professional wrestling. I'm ready for 41.
But I do got one other question. How long does Cody keep the title?
Summer.
Again, let's save that for next week. Let's get through.
Okay.
Let's get through and get to next week's show, because we've got a lot potentially coming up over the next 4 weeks.
Oh, yes, we do.
A week from Saturday is Dallas Comic Show. Come hang out, wrestling fan. Sean Stasiak is coming back, so I'm looking forward to sitting back down with him. Some great guests are going to be there. There will be screenings of Mean Streets on Saturday night that weekend, and one of the Toy Story movies with the guy that voiced Andy, who was the very first panel I ever moderated for. So looking forward to seeing him again. Stay by our social media, because things are going to start happening here in the next few weeks that you're going to want to be a part of. You can also make sure that you bookmark our website, the aforementioned www.theclubhousepodcast.com. Find out everything you need to know and some stuff you don't, including Don's the only one who did a review this week, and it's for Sting. So go check that out. Not about the wrestler or about Gordon Sumner. You can follow me on your social medias. All of our social media. It's over there. It's closer to Alex than it's closer to me. It's right there. Everything you need's there. You can follow me on your social medias if you'd like. Everything is Yes That Rob Irvin. That is spelled ERVIN. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, because I got some really cool stuff coming your way very soon.
I am Vexploit on all social media, and acknowledge our link tree. Lots of different links in there, all the different areas, especially for our reviews at www.theclubhousepodcast.com and our store. So we need you to buy shirts. If you have ideas for the shirts, reach out to me at alex@theclubhousepodcast.com.
We're able to get those awesome shirts that even make me look good. ProWrestlingTees.com/cheap podcast. And Twitter, I make a boo at GBNUU. And if you want this man to your place, email me, Don@clubhousepodcast.com.
Which it will be very, very soon. Email Don for information how we can do a live show. We love doing live shows and hanging out with the Empire. We've got a couple logistical things we're going to have to work out if we're going to do this way we normally do it coming up, but I know Alex can help us with that. You can email me questions, comments, concerns. Tell me to go pound sand. I am Rob@theclubhousepodcast.com. Charlotte Marshall is on Pinterest. She will not be watching programming here in a couple of weeks because she hates the draft. Our normal show every Thursday night, 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific, is your one-stop shop for all things sports, entertainment, pop culture, and professional wrestling. It's kind of how we roll. So until next time, Alex, for Don, for the Empire, I'm Rob. Clubhouse is closed. I think get Brittany Palmer to be a special timekeeper. It would be awesome. And Samantha Irvin, fantastic job as always.